Good evening. Thank you for being with us this evening. Truth be said, ladies and gentlemen, that the realty sector is one of the most dynamic and ergo, one of the most volatile sectors in India. It's a roller coaster ride with all the twists and turns, the ups and downs that you could expect of a roller coaster, except that this is for real. So, ladies and gentlemen, to help you stay ahead of the curve, to predict trends, and to bring success to yourselves and your enterprise is the raison d'etre for this ET Realty Convention. And I'd like to request the sector head, ET Edge, Mr. Rishi Kapoor, to formally welcome you all. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Rishi Kapoor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to the second annual edition of the Economic Times Realty Convention Mumbai chapter. It gives me an immense pleasure to be midst of visionary and leaders who have been instrumental in shaping the landscape of our country. Today evening, we are all here to discuss about how we can boost real estate sector in India, the significance of smart city concept, especially when the vision of our new government is to talk, where they are talking about building 100 new smart cities. While we're talking about the vision of new government, we will also focus on sustainable and affordable housing for a better tomorrow to cater a larger population of our country and the dream of all Mumbaikars. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks. It's time to welcome the gentleman who's majorly the cause of us being here today. Thank you for being our title partner. Please welcome the gentleman who in the last 3 decades has really moved his company to great heights, Joint Managing Director, HSIL. Please welcome Mr. Sandeep Samani.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a rewarding association for Brian Hindware when we first came on board in 2013 to be a partner with the Economic Times and organize this platform. As the agrarian economy reduces, as there is more migration of people to the urban centers, which is projected to be quite significant in the next 10, 12 years, I think it's very important that we get our 4 fundamentals clear: institutional infrastructure or governance, physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, and economic infrastructure. I think these are the 4 things that needs to be set right. And with these words, I think let's hope that the conference, as the earlier conferences have deliberated and generated very good ideas to take forward. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest today at this ET Realty 2015. Please put your hands together for Mr. UPS Madan.
The real question I think is, are we really interested in providing good infrastructure, good quality infrastructure? And my feeling is, if the answer is yes, that yes, we are interested, then whatever the constraints may be, whatever the challenges may be which come in your way or which come in our way, I would say, it is possible to find some way out to improve on this. Some of the developers' representative talked about new technologies which can be used for improving the quality, including the SRA buildings or rehab buildings. I had heard about some technologies in fact 10, 12, or maybe 15 years back. I was earlier in MMRDA when MUTP was implemented, and about 20,000 slum dwellers, families were rehabilitated in different buildings. So large number of buildings were constructed through MMRDA. And that time these new technologies from Malaysia and some other countries were discussed, adopted. But somehow I couldn't see the result of that actually in practice. Maybe in some or a few buildings you have successfully done. I would be very happy if these technologies which are available are used to increase the quality of particularly this slum or rehab buildings. Even if it costs a little more, it's worth doing that. It's worth adopting that. I know, in fact, you discussed about this costing part. My personal feeling is that because of this free kind of thing, that every slum dweller gets a free house in the redevelopment, every Cess building wala gets a free house as part of rehab. The entire load comes on the free sale component. So in fact, this goes against the very concept of affordability. You have to load, as somebody had pointed out, I mean, you as a private guy has to work for profit. There is no social service there. So if you have to load all that cost of that rehab component over the free sale part, land in any case is costly. So it will increase the cost of your free sale and decrease the affordability. So maybe there are some issues, the policy issues, where we have to perhaps jointly sit and find some solutions. The solutions are not impossible. I'm sure in the past also some dialogue has taken place individually, collectively. We need to discuss more. We need to get some more maybe out of the box ideas which can help you in reducing the cost, help you in improving the quality, help the government in getting things done faster and providing facilities to the citizens which the citizens rightfully deserve. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this panel discussion, Smart Cities Concept from Vision to Action Points, it's over to your moderator, Chintan Patel.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again for inviting us for this panel. Most people in discussions would talk about smart cities. Every developer is talking about smart cities. The government is talking about smart cities. And it's definitely the need of the hour. So I think without me speaking much, I'll just request a question for Mr. Vijay Wadhwa. I understand, sir, you were developing a smart city in Panvel. Can you just share some thoughts on what you think really is needed as part of a smart city?
To say smart city is very easy. Conceiving a smart city, the biggest hurdle coming in front of us is the permissions, approval, and infrastructure. Sure. Government is having practical difficulties. We should handhold government. We are the practical people. Government wants to do it. With our practical approach, if we are sincere, we go to the government at the right time. Today, budget is being planned. In spite of waiting for the government to react, we must move to explain them the difficulties. This Prime Minister wants to see that his vision is converted into reality in the shortest possible way. We should meet our Chief Minister, we should meet our bureaucrats, tell them the problems, appreciate their problems, and give them a solution also at the same time. Just to say that there's a problem, hai, solve kaise karna usko.
You're developing a very large city, as what Mr. Anandani said, in Virar. You've got a large township that's coming up in the whole Thane area and all those areas. What's your view as you take up construction? If you were to do a smart city today, how would that differ from what you're doing today? From a design and construction standpoint, from a cost standpoint, how would you look at it differently?
Now, one of the best things that I learned some time back from a talk we had from a guy called Vern Hernish was that you actually need to throw a problem out there or an idea out there or a word out there and get ideas back. I think when Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, who happens to be someone who always sets these goals, he actually throws it out there. When he said, I want to build 100 smart cities and 7,000 crores, he wasn't even really thinking about 7,000 crores being the seed capital for it. All he said was, I want a smart city, I want to build 100 smart cities. He said a healthy city where health could be promoted. I said something like an intelligent city. Sure. So these are the things that we really need to go out. So we need to put it across to architecture students, economics students. We need to really go out there and create this definition as we go along.
Niranjan bhai, when you talk about making a smart city, obviously you're adding a lot of technology component, you're adding a lot of cost, so to say, to this. Do you think, does it make it more viable or less viable to do a smart city today?
No, technology has to be cost effective. So if you're really, for instance, when you first brought mobile phones, you used to be 33 rupees a minute. Now it's less than 1 rupee a minute. And even my driver or the panwala or everybody has a separate mobile phone. So I don't think technology is expensive. It has to be designed to be cost effective. And I don't think that's an issue. But one of the major things which I think government has still not visualized, that housing and housing, especially affordable housing, needs to have a change of mindset in terms of treating it like infrastructure. For example, no bank gives 15-year loans. So if you put up a power plant, you get a 15-year loan. If you put up a road project, you get a 15-year loan. But if you want to make affordable townships, like I would do in Powai or Thane or any other affordable townships, I get a 5-year loan, in which I'm supposed to make a road, I'm supposed to make a hospital, I'm supposed to make a school, I'm supposed to make that, and I'm supposed to recover and pay interest plus the capital back in 5 years or 6 years. This is ridiculous. So I think we have proposed to the Reserve Bank of India that affordable housing as well as a township model that we are talking about and smart cities needs to have long-term funding, and they need to change the mindset of funding for such projects. If you don't do that, then all the rest of the talk is worthless.
Sure, thank you. Ashish, if you were to develop a smart city today, what would your ask be from the government? I think starting from Vijay Bhai to Baman and Niranjan Bhai, all have talked about the need for a role that government needs to play in creating this.
I think,
what would your ask be from the government?
I think the concept is very ambitious and probably can be achieved in incremental steps. The
Okay.
whole smart city is 200 or 100 square kilometers, the size of a Panvel or a New Bombay. At the developer level, we can build smart districts, which coming together can evolve into a smart city.
Sure.
For example, Panvel uncle is doing a large IT park.
Sure.
We are doing an industrial park next to it. We're doing another office park next to it. So those 7, 8 smart districts of all of us, all 4 of us put together, will coalesce into the New Bombay stroke Panvel smart city corridor. So I think it's going to be which first, government first or us first. I think we having access to private funding and 7,000 crore being nothing.
Sure.
We will build the seed districts rather than the seed capital, and the government should help us and promote those seed districts, which together will formulate a cluster and become a smart city.
Okay. Abhin, you've been involved in kind of the infrastructure planning and the architectural and design of smart cities. What is your view, and how is that different from a traditional development when you look at a smart city?
There are 2 aspects about smart cities. One is these greenfield townships, and I totally agree with you that the way to enter into smart cities is to actually start small, develop these small townships, let them coalesce into a good example, because that way we can build quickly. Because look at Chandigarh, before it could become smart, it was nothing but, it was far from smart for many, many years. Before people could live it and it could become a vibrant city, 40, 50 years have passed. We don't have that much time, neither does Mr. Modi, to show us and give us an example of a smart city. But in the fringe of India, there are a lot of towns that are becoming cities, small cities, small towns that are growing really quickly, and they will grow very poorly. They'll grow, it'll be a complete urban chaos unless we intervene there, and develop those smart cities there. There's already an economic motor. There are people moving in, and the government should start putting great incentives to actually implement smart cities there. So at one level, those are somewhat greenfield smart cities that are coming up, which are other than the real estate motor, real estate engine.
So Jawahar, now that you hear this part of the story, right? You belong to the technology world of here.
Okay, see, smart city has multiple definitions right now. But if you crystallize all the definition, essentially what it means that a smart city is an initiative that leverages on the information communication technology to bring together 3 entities: A, the citizen, the people; B, the government; C, the agencies. So the agencies are like municipal corporations, healthcare, utility service providers, transportation system. These are different agencies. Now, when we say the city is mismanaged, why it is mismanaged? Because these agencies, they operate in silos. They have their own system. They don't share. They don't interoperate. They don't coordinate. So the citizen faces a lot of challenge. So what smart city actually aims to do is to, first of all, create a wired, wireless network connectivity.
If Sandeep, you can just kind of put your points forward as well. And just also emphasize, given that you are kind of into the business of supplying, faucets and sanitary ware and all of that, do you think even if you were to build a smart city, are people also ready to operationally take up that challenge of operating those things?
I think people are smart enough because these products are made with a very simple human interface.
Okay.
You can't have complicated gadgets because, with the quality of people that we have, and every class of people has to live in those smart cities, then they're going to go for a toss. So the user interface has to be very smart, very small innovations. We don't have to do high-tech innovations. We design now faucets which take in more air. Air is free, yet. So, so they consume 30% less water.
Right.
Without giving the consumer the feeling that less water is coming. So this is an intelligent way of doing things, a smarter way of doing things, whatever you may call it. So the point is very simple. We have to do things which are practicable. I think from a human quality point of view, I tend to agree with the earlier speakers that the quality of life is something that needs to be considered. Convenience has to be considered. And, we have to get into a system of trying to transport people less from one end of town to the other. So the new integrated developments must have the full set of infrastructure in terms of housing, employment, entertainment, whatever, so that people are not commuting from one end of the city to the other. So I think what was initially said is what we need to focus on and build, sensible infrastructure. And I think the first thing we need to do is get the infrastructure in place.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, fellow panelists. I think it was a great discussion. Thank you very much.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome co-founder and managing director, Hiranandani Constructions, Hiranandani Developers, Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani.
Good evening, friends. Congratulations to ET Edge and Hindware and all of you being over here. First of all, what's a smart city? Basically, it is to create economic positions outside the cities and create new economic power. What is it that has brought the GDP growth in our country? 50% of the GDP growth are in the urban cities. GDP growth in terms of value creation, in terms of employment, in terms of growth. So what is the Prime Minister actually targeting? Is really to create 100, 200 cities which have new economic centers which are going to take place. So the first ingredient of a smart city would be really to say, can I create some new economic ideas in a new city, which is going to be different, addition to whatever is there in the main cities which are already there, or whatever it is. Without this economic idea, having residential places in these smart cities alone will be the beginning of failure of each smart cities. So what we are looking for, my friends, is to really say that if we take these steps into the way that the planning of the ideas have been put on the ground, you will see a paradigm growth in the whole thing, where the GDP of India will grow by 2% only because you're doing infrastructure and new cities. The part of which is going to be the most challenging of all the ideas which Mr. Modi has really put, is not the smart city alone. What is the challenge of affordable housing? And that's the challenge that I think we are going to find it extremely difficult to fulfill. So I think we need the government of the day, both at the local level, both at the state level, and at the central government level, including the finance minister who plays with the budget, to really bring about a rationalization of what he wants to do and walk the talk. But I also agree that if once they do it, it will be the duty of industry, it will be the job of industry, it will be our responsibility after our great successes in the last so many years to actually walk the talk and get into the affordable segment in a big way and not talk like I'm talking now, but actually I should also walk that talk to get into affordable housing. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I hope I've added a little bit to what you said. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, we have here builders who are better than the best. So, ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause as they step up on stage. Please welcome co-founder and managing director of Hiranandani Developers, Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to request from Omkar Realtors and Developers, its Managing Director, Babulal Verma. And now Chairman and Managing Director, Rustomjee Group, Boman Irani. From Tata Housing, CFO and on the Board of Directors, Govinder Singh. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to please give a big round of applause to the awardees this evening, to our chief guest and our presenting partner. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the Economic Times Real Estate Convention 2015, brought to you by ET Edge, which is an initiative of the Economic Times.
It's a very good initiative, and people will definitely come to know about the needs of the housing industry, the real estate industry in the country.
Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, talks about making the 100 smart cities, talks about how to make it. But ultimately, the nitty-gritties of this have to be assessed by the professionals. Talking about the infrastructure, talking about the economic independence of the new smart cities, I think it's imperative that we really need to do something of a brainstorming to see how to put these nitty-gritties together.
When you come to a forum like this, you really learn about steps being taken by various developers. And I think I go back today having learned a lot and feeling very happy for being here. Where I got validation for the points that we ourselves, as Rustomjee do, at the same point of time, learned so many other things that other developers, architects, technology providers are doing at this moment in time.
I really hope that the government, who really is the biggest player in this and who can make the biggest difference in this, is listening to some very simple solutions which can be done, especially about where it needs to invest its attention, not its money. Where it needs to invest its attention. That's the crucial thing.
Smart cities and affordable housing. And I think both these two subjects are extremely crucial for our country and for our industry to gear up in the future now. And this challenge will be such type of events and at various platforms is always a welcome idea.
Great ideas have been sort of brainstormed, and I think a summary of this should be presented to the state government for their further action.